Loads of the best players in FPL have been involved in summer tournaments, and they've gone to the latter stages of the Copa America and the Euros. Now, with that in mind, who are the best 11 players who have had a proper summer break? Welcome to the Gianni YouTube show. Hope you guys are well. Well-rested players are really important come game week one because, well, they've had a proper pre-season. They'll be fresh-legged, ready to go. Those that have been involved in the summer tournaments, a smaller pre-season, maybe less of a holiday, and maybe just some heavy legs on game week one. So, of course, we're going to consider players from both sides, but I think we can find some nuggets of information and players and some good finds that you go, yeah, because they've had a good summer break, they're going to hit the ground running and they're a really good pick to start the season. So let's put up our 11, shall we? Now, before we do, likes and subscribes would be so welcome. So please do hit that subscribe button. Loads of pre-season content planned, I promise you that. So please support me on my journey pre-season with loads and loads of videos. So there's an elephant in the room here. There's two, in fact, two big fat elephants. Let's get them out the way, shall we? Haaland and Salah, we all know. They would make any 11, let alone a well-rested 11. Let's just put them to the side. They can watch from the bench, and I'll give you 11 players. Otherwise, I'm just giving you 9, right? 11 players that might not be front of mind that we go, yeah, they're worth considering. They're worth considering because they've had a summer off. So let's start in goal, shall we? And this is the Man City goalkeeper, Ortega. I think it's going to be fantastic value. Now, of course, Ederson's future in doubt and what Man City do with the number one. But if Ortega is going to be the number one, he's going to be great value. We also know he had a summer off. Now, I don't think summers off really matter for goalkeepers anyway, but he didn't get in the Germany squad. Many don't know this. He's German. And he didn't make the top 3 keepers there for Germany. So we're going to go Ortega in goal. But now let's look at the back line. This is where it gets really interesting. So many forget Ben White was the best defender in the league last season in terms of points. 182 points for Ben White. Yet many of us own Saliba and Gabriel, or both of them. Or Saliba 164 and Gabriel 149 points. Ben White smashed him. 182 points, a summer off. He'll be playing right back. He gets those attacking returns as well as clean sheets. He plays for the best defence in the league, bar none. Ben White is a really good option. So alongside Ben White, I think we're going to go with a back four. Let's go for a 4-3-3. Pedro Porro is worth noting. He didn't make the Spanish squad. He's had a summer off. Quite surprised he didn't make the Spain squad, to be fair. He was the 4th best defender last season. Only the Arsenal lads beat Porro. Now, Porro didn't keep many clean sheets, and Spurs weren't in the best defences, but he did get loads of attacking returns. 8 assists for Porro and 3 goals. That's really useful. And again, he's on my radar again because of that attacking output. We know Porro drifts infield. He becomes, the fullbacks at Spurs are inverted. Udogie and Porro both pop up in those sort of central attacking mid areas. And when they do, they have great assist threat. We're now going to move to 2 players who are kind of on a budget, I guess. Like both these players, they're not the premiums. They're not playing for the glitzy clubs that will keep lots of clean sheets and score lots of goals. But both Crystal Palace and Everton need our respect this pre-season, right? And when we're planning our game week 1 teams, I think Palace and Everton should feature. Both of them have got fairly good fixtures. Palace for sure, like their opening 5 are Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester and United. We saw at the end of last season, Palace are really good. But this is what's really interesting. Let's just take a second to look at some defensive data. Because when we look at the top 5 defences last season, now I've gone off here. Goals conceded, sure, of course you've got to note goals conceded. But then I've gone off expected goals conceded and clean sheets. And when I put all the best defences into those 3 different metrics, well, Everton come out 4th best defence in the league. Only Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal are better than Everton at the back, right? Everton conceded the 4th fewest goals, for example. They conceded equal 2nd amount of clean sheets. 13 clean sheets, same as Man City Everton got. Now, Crystal Palace, same again, really good numbers. They were 5th for goals conceded, only 58 goals conceded. Their expected data puts them in 4th, and then they were equal 4th in terms of clean sheets. They got 10 clean sheets. So Palace, the 5th best defence. Everton, the 4th best defence. Well, let's look at their defences, shall we? And players like Mitchell, let's go back to my 11. Mitchell and Branthwaite have to be in. Like, Both could have made the England squad and didn't. Branthwaite, Southgate was criticised for not including him after the training camp. Branthwaite's going to feel like he's got a point to prove. Of course, there is speculation over Branthwaite's future. But regardless of where he is, if he's in the Premier League, he's going to be a good asset because we know he's good for bonus points. He offers a bit of goal threat and he's a very, very good centre-back. Mitchell, on the other hand, well, he's a left-back playing left wing-back in a Glasner system which allows his wing-backs to get forward. Munoz and Mitchell, I both think, should be on our radar this pre-season. And Palace, they will keep clean sheets and they will score lots of goals. And when they do, attacking returns, I think, are due for the wing-backs at Crystal Palace. So Mitchell and Branthwaite, both in, which is really, two England lads, many will say should have made the Euro squad. They didn't. Now, well rested. Here we go. So let's have a look at the midfield, shall we? So we've gone for a back four. Midfield three. Three well-rested midfielders. Remember, Mo Salah and Haaland are watching from the stands. Of course, they would be in, but it's too obvious. So we're going to go with Heung-min Son. He had a very busy season last time out, didn't he, with the Asia Cup? Do you remember the Asia Cup was wedged between the Premier League season, just like AFCON? And actually, I've gone for an African player and an Asian player in the midfield. See if you can guess who that African player is. I'll show you in just a sec. So Sonny is in there. We forget how good he was last year. Remember, he now has the penalty appeal as well. That's really big for Son. Like, that's should be an extra 3-4 goals a season, right? He got a 213 points last season, which is actually his third best total in FPL. He's been in the Premier League a long time. He's only reached that mark or bettered it on 2 occasions. So he was the 4th best midfielder in the game, Sonny. And at the end of the season, many of us went towards him and at times captained Son. The 6th best midfielder, you can see, who outperformed the likes of Gordon and Havertz and Bruno, all popular options, was Martin Odegaard. He's always overlooked, guys. Many of us will own a Saka, but we don't own, for some reason, Odegaard. We go to Havertz, we go to Saka. At times we go to Martinelli. Odegaard plays every minute. He ticks along really, really nicely. He just clocks points really well. Feels like a long-term hold, Odegaard. And remember, Norway did not reach the Euros, so Odegaard and Haaland had a summer off, and I just think that's a really, really good positive for him. And then the third midfielder we've got here, I mentioned, was an African. That is Kudus of West Ham. He was amazing last season. He was injured for a bit of it. He had the AFCON for a bit of it. He still scored 8 goals and got 9 assists. Now, West Ham, under their new manager, Lopetegui, we don't quite know how they're going to function. Lopetegui is quite known for fairly defensive play. But with that, you get the counter-attack. And with counter-attacks, Kudus will really thrive. So I'm interested to see how Kudus gets on and West Ham in general. But remember, African and Eurasia players haven't had summer tournaments. And I think that matters. Guys, thank you, by the way, for hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. It means a lot. When you do subscribe, hit that notification bell. That'd be amazing. Shall we talk forwards? Because, wow, there are a lot of good forwards here that perhaps could have made the list. I look at the likes of Gabby Jesus. He could have made the list. He had a summer off. Richarlison had a summer off. These guys didn't get in the Brazil squad. But they're not in. My best 3 are 3 players who actually came 3rd, 4th and 5th in the rankings last season. Now, I don't want to just pick players based on last season's points. You guys know me if you've watched me for a while. That's not how I manage my FPL teams. But I can't deny these are all really, really good picks. And actually, they all feature in my fixture ticker. So before I show you the 3 names and before I show you who they are, let me just draw your attention to the fixture ticker that I've brought up here. So we've got the big 8 teams, okay? And then I've got a few selected other teams with good fixtures. Now, the big 8 teams, we've all heard of the big 6. The big 8 are the big 6 plus a couple of others. Aston Villa, Newcastle now, that I think we have to consider is big 8. Many of our FPL teams are going to be, the majority of our FPL teams are going to be made up of teams from these 8, right? Now, these are ordered in difficulty. So from top to bottom, Liverpool with the best, Arsenal with the most tricky fixtures, although some might argue teams like Arsenal are fixture proof. And then we've got selected others. I've put Fulham in there, who have got amazing fixtures. They're right at the top of the ticker. Palace are right at the top of the ticker. Everton and Bournemouth are sort of mid-table, but again, good teams with goodish fixtures. So when we look at my three forwards, they play for teams that are all mentioned in this ticker. So first up, Newcastle. Right at the top of the ticker, they play Southampton, Bournemouth, Spurs, Wolves and Fulham. All winnable games, all games I think with brace potential. Okay, we'll get back to the individuals in a second. We've spoken about Newcastle. Let's just touch on Bournemouth and Palace. And you're probably already guessing the forwards that make the 11. So Crystal Palace, good fixtures. Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester and Man United. Again, games you fancy Palace to score in all of them. Like Chelsea and Man United aren't clean sheet teams anymore. Palace surely will go into those games thinking they'll get a goal. And then we look at Bournemouth. Well, again, with Iraola in charge, a very good attacking team. They play Forest away, Newcastle at home, Everton away, Chelsea at home, Liverpool away. Okay, so Bournemouth's fixtures, they're mid to lower, but I still think there's goals in some of those games. So, have you guessed the three players we're talking about? Well, yeah, they rank 3rd, 4th, 5th from last season. We can see only Haaland, who had the summer off, and Watkins felt like he had the summer off. But don't forget, guys, if you've gone to a summer tournament, you're still training every day, you're still away from your friends and family, you're still not on the beach and enjoying a holiday. So Watkins doesn't make this list because he was at the Euros despite not playing much. So Solanke is the 3rd best, he's in the team, Isak 4th and Mateta 5th. All really good picks. Now Newcastle, let's go through them one by one. I love for the fixtures for Isak. I just think the end of last season showed us how good an FPL asset Isak is. Now, many drafts won't be able to afford a Gordon or an Isak or fit them in, but I definitely want one, if not both those guys in my 11 come game week 1. So Isak very well rested. Sweden didn't make the Euros. Mateta, there was talk of him making the France squad because of how good he was. It was like, come on, we've seen how deep that France squad is. There's very good players that missed out. In fact, you could put together a France 11 that missed out on the Euros and you'd still back them to sort of reach the knockouts. Mateta is in though. Without Elise, what will the impact be on Mateta? I still think with Eze, with the likes of Kamada coming in, I still think there's going to be a lot of creativity behind Mateta. And don't forget, guys, Elise was injured for a lot of last season anyway. So Mateta, Isak, alongside, you guessed it, Dom Solanke has to go in there. Bournemouth talisman, and we speak a lot about talisman pre-season. Now, when you look at teams like Bournemouth, what share of points when they score goes to a player like Dom Solanke? What share of points goes to Mateta and Isak, to be fair? All three of these guys are talisman. And when Bournemouth, Newcastle and Palace score, and you see that alert on your phone on a Saturday afternoon, I reckon you've got between a 30 and 40% chance that that player was involved if they're on the pitch. Because when their teams score, they're often involved at around 40%, right? Talisman are important. Talisman are often on penalties, as are Mateta, Solanke and Isak. Mateta maybe not, but Solanke, Isak will be on pens for the new season. And it just matters. They're teams that function well, that have lots of creativity behind the number 9s, and these number 9s are pretty much 90-minute men when fit. I really like this 11 in a 4-3-3. Just to recap, this is an 11 that are all well rested because they didn't go to the Copa America and they didn't go to the Euros. Now, I think we see an impact on some of the teams, like, say, England players. I think game week 1, sure, they'll be ready and available. They'll have had a very short pre-season and they'll probably still be picked. But I think we're going to see some tired legs. And I think we might see some, the repercussions perhaps of those summer tournaments. Maybe we don't see it in game week 1, 2, 3. Maybe we see it a month or two later down the line. But I will be wary over committing to too many players that had busy summers. Of course, I'm still going to be picking some very good players that played in summer tournaments, but I'm also going to be noting some of these guys to go, yeah, they need to get in my game week 1 squad. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Loads more content planned. In fact, following this video, there's links to others. Loads of pre-season content. Thank you for hitting that notification bell, liking and subscribing on your way out. I will see you very soon in the comments. Let me know if you've enjoyed this one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.